Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today for this communications webinar. Just a bit of background to start with. I'm Matt Wordingham. I am Bowls England's Publications and Media Officer, and I'm responsible for our communications and media activity, including social media, website, yearbook, programme, all the bits and pieces like that. We're delighted to have lots of new faces with us today. If you did join us for the previous social media webinar, there will be a bit of duplication from the content that was mentioned in that. There won't be a lot of duplication, but we felt it would be interesting for a lot of people joining us tonight to hear that as well. I'll introduce Matt shortly. He'll be doing the presentation tonight. He's from Ilminster Bowling Club in Somerset, and you'll have seen some of the content that we've been sharing from Matt on social media over the past few days and weeks. The slides will be circulated to everyone following the webinar, so you don't need to worry about that. I'll send it over to you later this evening once we've finished. There's also going to be a question and answer session at the end. If you want to pop your questions into the chat function below, then I'll collate them all and then I'll read them out to Matt at the end, and we'll go from there, and then feel free to join in with any further questions following that. So, like I say, thank you all for joining us. I've popped you all on mute so that there's no interference during the presentation, and please keep yourself on mute, and then at the end we'll open it out for the Q&A. But like I say, to start with, we'll just ask for questions in the chat function. Over to you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. Good evening, everybody. Thank you all very much for joining for the second communications webinar. We did one previously on Friday, went really well, and tonight's the second one. So first of all, just wanted to say tonight is about how to communicate to club members, and the objective tonight is to help understand a simple way to communicate to club members using simple tips which save time, money and hassle-free. So our aims and objectives: ways to communicate, how we communicate at the moment, what issues do we see with those methods, trying new ways of communication, and what these new methods of communication look like, key points to remember, and then finally the Q&A. So a bit about me. So as Matt said, my name is Matt Hamilton. I'm a member of Ilminster Bowling Club in Somerset. I work as a healthcare market. So I travel a lot, but my main job outside of that is working with Ilminster. I was responsible for writing and the bid winning the 2018 Bowls England Club of the Year. And then subsequently, I joined the Bowls England Marketing Group as a consultant in a consultancy role. I am a bowler. I do represent Somerset at Middleton Cup level, winning multiple county titles and runner-up in the National Fours in 2011. So that's a bit about me and what I do. So everything I'm going to talk about tonight is purely from experience, stuff that's worked with Ilminster, stuff that I've done with Bowls England, stuff that Bowls England have fed into this presentation as well. And one of the things to remember is that your club can do one of these, two of these, or none of these. This is purely advice and help to try and structure development of your club as much as we can. Okay. So ways to communicate. When looking at communicating to club members, what do we most commonly use at the moment? So mostly is notices on pin boards, notice boards, face-to-face, phone, newsletter, email. Facebook is the one we probably don't use as much yet, and your website. So what's the issues we experience with communication using these methods? So notices, as all of you are aware, and you all probably experience, you can put as many notices up on the notice board as you like, and no one ever reads them. The amount of notices that go on notice boards, and then people just don't read the material, and it doesn't go in. So that's the biggest challenge we find with notices. Face-to-face, it is time-consuming. But if you do it right and you get the chance to talk to a lot of people, you can reach a big audience very quickly. Phone calls, quick and effective, but can be time consuming to call everybody. Newsletters, lots of detail included, long process to produce, and generally by the time you've sent it, it's out of date from experiences, and that's happened to me this week. Sent out Ilminsters. And things are moving so quickly, like in every bowls club in the country at the moment, with different changes of lockdown, getting your bar ready, opening changing rooms from the 25th, all those sorts of things. It's out of date before you sent it. Email is fast and effective, but lots of people don't read emails. I get around sort of 300 emails a day through different things, and it's impossible to read everything fully. And we're going to come on to a few tips how to best market your email when we're talking about emails. Facebook is a more modern way of communicating, instant real-time communication, but obviously not everyone is on digital platforms. Not everyone is connected through Facebook. And a website is a great way to communicate with new members and your current members, but only if it's kept up to date. And they're the sort of challenges we face on a day-to-day basis with many clubs, many people within my own club and other clubs that I speak to, and the experience that Bowls English shared with me and I share with them. So how to change current communication methods? Make sure all communication is simple, clear, and concise. If you write reams and reams of things and make it really complicated, people will not read it. The time is a massive factor now in people's lives. That, you know, if you get a long email, as some of you may do, you only skim through it, you don't read it properly. So making it short to the point is really, really important. Notices, only put up key notices. Anything else, use other methods of communication. So for me, I would recommend, if I was putting up notices, I'd be saying things like club AGM, maybe your team selection sheet, but keeping it as much as you can paperless. Things now go around so quickly. You know, obviously most county structures and Bowls England, pretty much I would hope most things are mostly paperless now in lots of cases. It all is via email or communication through websites and things like that. So again, making sure you're only putting up key notices, and we'll come on to how we can use notices through a more modern way of communication. Face-to-face, using your committee members to transfer more information out via word of mouth. Now, again, great thing about word of mouth is you can actually talk to people. You can actually, and everyone wants to have a good conversation about a certain subject face-to-face if you can. But if you've got a large committee team who work really hard for your club, spreading the information out through them is a really effective way to do that. You know, we've all been there where one or two people within every club do the main jobs, where these sorts of things, we want to spread that information out as much as we can and get it out to as many people as possible. Phones, we've all been there again on sort of Friday night, chasing a team for Saturday. People haven't confirmed their names on Teams and haven't said they're coming to this certain event. You know, sometimes, unfortunately, you actually have to let members chase you. You know, and if people miss out, they generally learn for next time that they've got to, you know, be actively doing what they can to make sure they're checking. I know that sounds quite harsh, but realistically, again, time is a factor. If people don't want to put their names up or don't want to communicate their availability, then generally leave them out. I know it's easier said than done, especially at the moment and in many things, but sometimes you have to do that just to sort of ram home the point that, you know, it's your time as well as the club's time trying to get things sorted. Newsletters, lots of detail included. I've actually been to a couple of clubs recently, or with pre-lockdown, where one club did an absolutely brilliant newsletter, but it was like 10 or 12 pages. So it took ages to actually put together, and by the time it got published, it was out of date. So trying to keep it to a short 2 pages maximum, if you can, is really, really key. Emails, fast and effective. You know, one thing is to only send emails when you need, because most people then, when they do get an email and they don't get multiple emails from your club, they actually do read it because they know it must be something of reasonable importance. If you send lots and lots and lots of emails out daily or every week, generally people just skim over them. So obviously, if you are sending emails out, especially at this time when you're talking about, you know, guidelines, risk assessments, safety, getting your clubs reopened, people generally will read them more. But yeah, just keep your emails to a minimum if you can. Facebook, instant real-time communication, encouraging members to sign up, use Facebook. Facebook is a massive tool for what I do, especially for Ilminster. Your reach of people is so vast in a very, very short space of time. If any of you have seen my Facebook stuff since Saturday, since our open day, it's been everywhere, which is great for the club and great for the people who were involved in it. You know, to give you an example, in the last, I think it's 7 days, we've reached about 15 to 18,000 people with those videos and posts and photos. So yeah, it's a real quick way to reach members who are on that platform, but also as important is to reach new potential members who want to take the game up and want to start playing bowls. And we're going to come on to that probably in the Q&A session about where we see bowls at the moment, and obviously retention of members, trying to generate new members. And websites, great way to communicate, make sure they're updated weekly. I mean, the amount of websites clubs I work with at times, and they say, I'll have a look at our website. You go on there and it's really, there's so much information on there, you don't know where to start. It's not been updated for the last 6 or 8 months or longer, and that's where potential new members and certainly your existing members are going to look for information. There are ways to develop your website, and clubs may be looking to redevelop their websites, and there's some good ways to do that. But there's some of the current communication methods, how we trying to change the way we work within the club. So on to some new communication methods. What do these sort of things look like? This is one thing we do at Ilminster. We do have a TV notice board. So basically, this is again sort of a more advanced way of doing it. I'm just going to use an example because I know that I'm sure they wouldn't mind me using this example. So I was at Clevedon Bowling Club in Somerset pre-lockdown, and they had indoors going on, and I was there having a meeting with them around this subject, one of this subject. And I reckon probably the amount of people who walked in and out of the building to go down and play indoor bowls was probably 20 to 30 people over a space of 15 to 20 minutes. As they walked in, they went straight down the stairs, didn't look around or anything. Something like this, if you've got this sort of screen scrolling through different topics, people notice it and people pick it up. So there's good ways of communicating very, very quickly on things like a scrolling screen. So what you would need if you wanted to look at doing some sort of system like this, first of all, you need Wi-Fi in your club and Wi-Fi at home. You can use something called an Amazon Fire Stick, and you can plug that in the back of your telly or your monitor at your club. And basically, you can write a PowerPoint presentation with the key slides, and we'll come on to what they look like in a moment. And you can automatically upload that to the TV from home, which you can update every week, every day if you wish to, with more and more information. Now, in normal circumstances, we'd be having a lot of people going through, a lot of footfall through your clubs. But this is one of those ways you can look at a change in the way you communicate. So something like this is sort of the example. So we use 5 to 6 slides. So you've got like a home page on the left, and on the right is the latest news. Excuse me. So the green is reopened, club fixtures accessible through website, online booking system, green closed for maintenance, outdoor meeting on this day. And again, you can add in as much as you want. I generally try and keep it to 5 or 6 slides. But again, it's one of those things that you can look to develop in your club. And again, we're not saying you have to do this. It's just another way of communicating. So with face-to-face, obviously, in the last 4 months, it's been very, very difficult, as we've all experienced because of the current situation across the world. So obviously, as I said, face-to-face, use your committee meetings and your general meetings to transfer out more information. In recent months, I don't know how many of you have used Microsoft Teams or Zoom, but Zoom is going to be, and Teams will be the next generation of communication. For me, I have traveled a lot with my work. The amount of traveling I'll be doing now is probably negligible. I'll probably be doing less and less as time goes on, because more people will want to do it based on this sort of interactive platform. So if you are having meetings or want to hold meetings, look at Zoom or Microsoft Teams. It's free services. Microsoft Zoom is a 40-minute free service, and I think Teams is generally an hour or an hour and a half service, or might even be free. I'm sure Matt will confirm that service through Microsoft Teams. But those sorts of things you can really get hold of. And again, some people won't be on the internet, some people won't be part of that. But obviously, to keep your club moving and keep the club running while this period's been going on, a lot of you may have experienced this, but it's certainly something we seem to use more and more now for this reason. So phoning, obviously, as we said, is very time consuming. The phoning around people, trying to let them know of information is time consuming, and you can't do it to everyone. If I was going to suggest one thing out of tonight that your club looks at, it would be looking at something called WhatsApp, a WhatsApp system for communication. It's really, really simple, really, really effective to use. Generally, it's on a mobile device, like a mobile phone, like a smartphone, like that. Generally, a smartphone, but you can have it on your desktop. You can have it at home on your PC or your laptop at home or your iPad. So you don't have to have it on a mobile phone, but generally it's a really, really good way to communicate. So I just wanted to give you some examples of how we communicate with it. So on the left of the picture is our Ilminster BC. This is our general group. This general group is for general communication for the men bowlers at Ilminster. So basically that first post is a picture of our sign-up sheet for the 2019 outdoor season. So basically what that says is everyone who's on that group, on that platform, everyone gets that same message of saying this. If you wish me to add your name, please say yes or put a tick. And then basically all the people on that group say yes, 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 or tick, tick, tick. And it means you've communicated to say 60 or 70 people of your men bowlers without actually having to go down and put a sheet up on the board or had to go and do additional work, which is time consuming. That simple system can work really well for that. The middle one is our outdoor committee group. So for example, got an outdoor committee meeting coming up. You can send around an agenda. So the first one is actually from my dad, but the first picture, and that's the agenda for our meeting, which was on a Sunday in February. And you can take pictures. So if you've got for example, team sheet, very, very common one. So say you're picking your team for the Saturday for the following Saturday. You can pick the team, take a photo of it, upload it onto the WhatsApp platform with all your contacts in that group. It goes out to everybody, and then everyone can come. You can just put on that, please say yes or no for availability. And instead of having to chase people for availability, everyone gets the message and everyone can come back very, very quickly and say yes or no, which saves you time by not having to run around trying to find people. And obviously it does save a lot of hassle of going down the club every evening or every other evening, having to make phone calls, check that the board's correct, check that people have ticked, check that drivers have been arranged and all those sorts of things. So that works again really well. The far right one is just an indoor national group. So this is for anyone or outdoor national. So generally if anyone playing in their county or national competitions, and as you know, some rounds come quite quickly. It's just if you win a round, can I have this rink? Can I have that rink? And then you can automatically book those sorts of things into your diary and into your calendar, whether your calendar is based at your club, as probably was paper-based. Now, obviously, with everything that's been happening, a lot of booking systems have gone online. So those sorts of things work really, really well and effective. So examples of WhatsApp. Install WhatsApp. You have to have the contact number saved in your phone. So create a group. So you might create a group saying just Bowls England contacts, for example. Put all the phone numbers into your phone. You can then add them into the WhatsApp. Then you can distribute your team sheets. You don't have to keep obviously going down the club, putting notices on the notice boards, things like that. You can go out all via that system. Obviously, the biggest challenges you have is obviously while doing that system of going down your club, putting notices up. There's just such a time-consuming thing. You know, we all probably since the lockdowns happened, we know that time is very, very short and time is very precious to a lot of us, especially in the world we live in at the moment. So trying to make things as simple and easy as possible can be really, really effective using this system. As I said, making sure players have got availability, drivers, team sheets, meetings, bookings, social events, all those sorts of things you can add into that group to get the message out very, very quickly, very effectively, and it's a completely free service. You don't get charged for that service. So newsletter, this is an example of Ilminster's newsletter. It's a 2-page normally, but keep it very, very simple. Short, 2 pages, key events, membership events, green update, congratulations to people who have done something well in the club, or any other additional information. But keep it really, really short. And again, generally newsletters, information goes out of date very quickly. So ideally, get it as up to date you can and get it sent out via email. One of the questions we did have from last week was about, obviously, for people who are not on social or not on the internet and actually still rely on snail mail, as we call it. What do we do and how do we work with that? Now, there's quite a lot of ways we can work with that. So if you've got something like this and they haven't got the internet, they're not getting all the information, especially at the moment, you can look at using people like your welfare officers in your club. So every club has a welfare officer. You can obviously distribute the information through them. And they can obviously either drop information around when they're in the local town or whatever it is, or make the phone calls to those people. You can ask local family members to help, next door neighbours, or people who are in that social group with that particular person, just to drop some information around to them. You know, and that can be very, very beneficial, because obviously that social interaction for them, if they can't get to the club like they haven't been for the vulnerable people who've been shielding for many weeks, those sorts of things can work really well. So that's something just to bear in mind. Email. So email is a great way to communicate. Again, I use email a lot because of what I do, and obviously for Ilminster and through Bowls England, obviously most communications by email. But generally about 80% of the emails you get are probably advert based. So people generally delete them before reading them. So if you see things like, you know, I've had some today from like the AA or, you know, Sports Soccer or Sports Direct or whatever it may be, they're not interested. Got no interest in them at the moment. Delete, 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 and you don't actually read them. So obviously one of the things I would recommend is, if you are looking to manage your own emails through the club, is setting up your own bespoke email address. So obviously for me, if I was going to do it for Ilminster, it'd be Ilminster BC, and you can create an account at Google, on Google Mail, on Gmail, any of those sort of platforms, Outlook. But if you create a specific email account for your club, it means that people, when they get an email, will actually notice the name of the email, is the first thing. The second thing is the actual subject line is really important. So if you just put, if it's very long-winded and lots of information in the subject line, sometimes people just don't read that. If you make it short and snappy, so it's like, you know, Ilminster BC, club reopening procedures, or, you know, Club Green reopened, or whatever it may be, keeping that, and that subject line is a really important piece. It's probably as important as the body of the text. So making sure the information you're trying to get across is in that subject line is really, really key. Facebook is a more modern, again, way of communicating, and communication certainly for many people is moving this way with the technology, and obviously what's been going on around the world in the last 5 months. Facebook does give you real-time access to information through your club page, if you do have a club page. So anything that you post, the club post on there, gets seen by all the people who follow you. Now again, the more people you can encourage onto Facebook in relation to your club members, and they've got internet and they've got Facebook, the more information you can get across very, very quickly. It's not also just about getting information across to them, it's about getting information across to potential new members. So if you are holding open days, events, so on, there are ways to share that information out, and we covered that in our previous webinar, in the social media webinar, which was back end of last month. So there's lots of ways to look at that. You can communicate about bowls matches, again, competition draws, meetings, AGMs, and again, pictures paint 1,000 words. So any pictures, any videos, anything like that is a really good piece of media that you can use to promote your club. And again, if any of you have seen Ilminsters over the last 3 or 4 days, it's been rammed with photos and videos. And one of the comments today, which I thought was a really nice comment, was, you know, there's been loads and loads about Ilminster this week, since Saturday. Is any other club open? I said it's just about how you manage your media and how you promote your club. So again, you know, there are other clubs doing amazing things out there, and every club's going through some tricky times as well as some really good times. But it's about embracing the chance to promote your club when you can, because as we know, there are going to be times where things aren't as good as others. You know, you may not be doing very well in competitions and leagues, you may not be posting results. But again, that all comes back to our social media webinar we did previously. There's lots and lots of key tips we can use within that. So just on Facebook, so on the left-hand side is this is off the mobile app, is the Facebook page. That's the home screen. It's changed a little bit since I did this presentation. The central one is promoting events. So if you are holding an event at the club, you can actually promote that on Facebook to the people who are interested in, who follow you in the club. So again, I've got things like the Rugby World Cup when England played South Africa in the final. We did a breakfast morning for members. Games against St Andrews and Denny, that's indoor based. And we also did a social event, a race night. But promoting it that way gets extra people interested in the event. Relevant story, adding value. So this is one that on the right hand side, this is myself, my dad and my brother. We're all bowlers, and it's about bowls being about a family sport, and us playing together for the first time in 3 years. So adding value to your posts is really key. And again, any of you have seen the open day stuff I've posted, and Bowls England have retweeted and tweeted and messaged out over the last sort of 24, 48 hours. It's about adding relevance and value. So, you know, the interviews we've done with some of the people is about, actually, that could be anybody in your local area who can get involved like that. And the ways to communicate around that, and obviously how you communicate your open days, again, is really important. Engaging your audience and adding value. So we've, again, this is an old post, but I've just done the adult coaching one this week for Ilminster restarting. I think the last count, and actually I'm going to tell you now, actually, if you give me 2 seconds. So the adult coaching one I did, which only went out, I think, 2 days ago. Adult coaching. So the adult coaching post went out on the 13th of July, which was yesterday. Is it 14th today? Yep. So it went out yesterday. It's been seen by 2,500 people. 103 people have actually opened that and clicked on the link to the club to actually look at that system. So that's why I'm saying you can get a lot of information out very quickly and to a lot of people using this sort of Facebook platform. And again, thinking about that as your members and people who you like to be potentially could be members. Again, relevance to the game, adding and evolution, showing the 1970s, 80s, 90s, and the modern day. And then the right-hand one is a recent one from Opening the Green this summer. This is, again, is just a few bits of information, a bit about, you know, for club members, booking rink information, just a bit about how the club works and how the booking system works. New images, including sponsors. Obviously, always good to show your sponsors in communications, because in the day they support you financially to help the club along. And also little things like throwback moments. So looking back to last season, what were the good points, and just posting those out just adds value and relevance to people. So website. Your club website is one of the most important ways to communicate to current members as well as potential new members or customers. Make sure it's clean, up to date, concise, and well formatted. Don't have stuff everywhere. If you have too many options and too many tabs on a website, from my experience, people just don't know where to start. What you want to do is get them to have a look at the relevant information and get them hooked in to come back and look for more or contact you. If you put everything on there, from data protection procedures to competitions to, you know, matches to everything, it just gets really, really cluttered with things, and people just want a simple way to navigate websites. So the simpler, the better. Homepage, about us, your club sections, indoor, outdoor, a bit about what you've done, club fixtures, contact details, online booking system, membership prices. That's about all I say is key information for a website to hold. Anything more than that, they're hopefully going to make contact with you to inquire further. If you can, some people will have this already, but if you can, I think the back office in a website is one of the best things we ever did with our website. So the back office is a separate section which members can log into. Inside that is all the information, all the documentation, all the newsletter, all the club's AGM minutes, the accounts, everything that's to do with the club's running is sat in a little space in the back of the website. It just keeps it off the front page, but it still gives people the opportunity as members to access that information. And again, invest in a good website. We invested in ours, 14 months ago, a new website, and it's literally saved us so much money as a club, purely on the basis of this COVID situation, is that where everyone had to go online bookings, we have managed to build that into the back of our website. And if you go out and try and look to buy a booking system from a company, one of the most expensive ones I found is Bowls are. Hugely expensive system, brilliant system, but hugely expensive. Clubs don't have that sort of money to spend generally on a booking system. So if you can build your own or build it into your website, it's really good. We use Wix.com. And for us, our contract hosting with Wix is about £350 for a 3-year contract. So again, really cool. And you can upgrade things like that and upgrade the systems as your club develops. So just a little bit on the website. So this is what I would suggest, something, again, very, very simple. 6 tabs: homepage, about, club sections, fixtures, contact, Facebook, facilities, bookings, and then the top right, you've got your login page. We use sport and social as our sort of updates. So, excuse me. If we have a sort of an update for any member, it might be that club changing rooms are reopened, which is going to happen very shortly on the 25th of July. You know, and obviously all about guidelines, and everyone should be getting emails about the guidelines and such things. We'll go on those sort of squares. Upcoming key events, so you can put on their list of different events you can actually build into the planner, and you can obviously you can actually click on the I'm coming button, and it will give you the ability to register for that event, things like that. Keep it again really simple. A little bit about the bowls, the snooker, the tennis, and the social part of the club on your home screen. But all those sorts of things keep the homepage, and that's our homepage, keeps it really clean, clear. And in the top left-hand corner, as you can probably see, there's the Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram link to those social media platforms. So all those things are again, give you more info. You can access more information from the website, but the idea is to get somebody, especially new members, potential new members, looking at the website, hooked in, wanting to know more, and they're contacting you for further information. So try and keep it as clean and concise as you can. Some of the key points to remember from tonight is whatever you do, keep it clean, clear, and concise communication. Any of those methods we've spoken about, you can do one of them, two of them, or none of them. This is purely advice for you, but whatever you do, follow those 3 C's: clean, clear, and concise. Try different things. Don't be discouraged if something doesn't work. These things take time. So we ran, again, example, open day on Saturday. We ran 2 offers on that day. First time I've ever run offers at all for any open days I've arranged at Ilminster. One offer was a free coffee and cake in the club, where everyone loves coffee and cake generally. And the other one was a membership discount and 3 free coaching sessions included in that package. And that worked really well for us, and we'll probably run it again, you know, later in the year or next year. Try and get your club members involved. Discuss with them what actually, you know, what communication they feel works best. And, you know, with the WhatsApp, if there was something, as I said earlier, that you could take away tonight and you could try, is the WhatsApp. And the best way to do it is to do it as a trial period. So we did it at Ilminster. We trialed it on the management team for the club, the management committee. We tried it on there, see how it worked. Then we spread it out to the bowlers. Then we spread it out to different teams. Then we spread it out to different sections. So again, try it, see if it works. If it doesn't work, you haven't lost anything. It's worth a go, because if it saves you time and effort of going to your club every night for whatever it may be, putting up notices or checking your team, people have ticked their name off, give it a go and just see if it works. And not all of these things will work for in particular clubs. You know, this again, every club is different. So, you know, all I would say is try it. If it doesn't work, you haven't lost anything. 2 of the main reasons that things don't work, as I found out from my own experiences, generally the age of your club members, and generally no one likes change. Probably the one thing that has shown us in the last 4 months that's come out of this is that we haven't had a choice but to change the way we work, the way we communicate, the way we interact. So those things are becoming more mainstream, and it's certainly to the forefront of people's minds at the moment. So as I said, WhatsApp I would always try first. Well, and again, if you can get that off the ground, that will save you a lot of time. If you can build yourself a Facebook page, it would be great, because it will get you some good information, good leads into new people, new members, and keeping members updated. And your website, update regularly, keep it simple, and less is definitely more when it comes to a website. So that's it for this evening's communication part. Thank you all for attending. There is my email address there. There's also Matt Wordingham, who's the social media and communications publications media officer for Bowls England, and John Hughes, Bowls England Club and County Support Officer. So you can always email any of us, and we'll come back to you with some thoughts. But that's it from me, and we'll move into Q&A. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. One important comment that I'd like to make is that we've shown a lot of communication methods today that are for internal, but it's worth remembering that they can also be used as recruitment messages as well. For instance, the video that Matt's put on showing the Ilminster Bowling Club is COVID safe. If you've got a non-bowler that comes across that video online, they'll be very impressed to see that your club is COVID safe. And although they might not want to become a member now, they might think in 2 or 3 years, I remember that club, I remember that video. One of the first comments, Matt, is A few people have asked for a bit more background on what is MailChimp.
Okay, so MailChimp is a mass mailer system. It is a free, I think you can get a free system or you can pay for it. I think the free one is does enough for most clubs. But basically, all you do is you can just basically mass mail out to all your members. So I personally don't use MailChimp purely because I actually think I would prefer to use our members list and actually just physically write an email in that system and use it off like Google, Gmail. MailChimp is very much more a, how would you describe it, Matt? I'm trying to think of the right word to describe it.
I think for most of our clubs, just an email would be beneficial for now.
Yeah. I mean, a MailChimp is much more advanced, and probably so for some clubs, that's what they use. I personally just use an email and just send out an email. But MailChimp is a much more advanced system you can use for emailing out to members.
Particularly with newsletters, you can easily save it as a PDF and just attach it to an email, and you've got more scope for design on a Microsoft Works newsletter template, for instance, rather than a MailChimp. MailChimp can be quite complicated from an IT firm. A few people have asked, would you recommend Facebook just for club members or open? So sort of the difference between a group and a page, Matt.
So for me, Inwitsters is a page. I would always, if it was me recommending it to any club, I would always do it as a page, purely because you have the scope then to attract many more people involved. If you only do it as a group, generally it's going to be a closed group and you're going to want to have authorization to join it. Where that doesn't really encourage people to get to know who you are and what you do. I would actually just use it as a group, as a page rather than a group. For us, the page goes out to, I think there's 500 odd people who are registered to our page anyway, maybe a bit more than that now. So every time I post, 500 people at least get that information. That's not including sort of other clubs who have signed up and follow us, but around 500 to 600 people contact get that information every time I post. And generally, if you are going to post, make sure you post twice or 3 times a week. If you just post once a week or once every now and then, people lose interest. People won't see that you're active, you're doing what you need to do, getting that message out and across. So even if you think it's, and again, one of the points from the social media day, and if it's relevant, we'll run another social media webinar, I'm sure. But, you know, even though you don't think it's relevant to somebody. So if you don't think it's relevant to you, it will be relevant to somebody inside the club or outside the club.
Are there any costs involved in Microsoft Teams and Zoom?
No cost. They're completely free products. So Teams, you can join for free. I think it's up to 200 people. And Zoom, I think you can have is it free 40 minutes, isn't it, for about 100 people? So yeah, I mean, absolutely free. They work really well. We generally use it more. We're generally going to use it more and more. I think the whole world will use it more and more, purely because you can't get as many people in the building or in a room as you used to, because of the current situation. Yeah, hopefully that returns, and I'm wrong, but I think certainly for short to medium term, it's going to be Zoom or Teams use.
I think particularly to note with Zoom that it is limited to 40 minutes, that for some club committee meetings is a very good attribute, really, because it does keep people to the point so that they know the meeting has to be finished within 40 minutes. Yep. I've been in committee meetings before that have lasted 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And I've also had committee meetings now on Zoom, and the ability to have it cut to 40 minutes has been very good because it's kept people to the point. So there are benefits to a 40-minute limit as well.
Couldn't agree more.
Do you text people rather than using WhatsApp if they don't have a smartphone?
Yes, that's absolutely right. So again, sometimes you won't know if they have or haven't got a smartphone. If you send a text, they're going to get it. If they have a smartphone, they'll get it anyway. But if you send a text, anyone gets a text off their phone.
Most phones as well nowadays, they give you the ability to set people as groups on your phone. So if you do set up a group of people that don't have WhatsApp and you need to send a text to them, you can send them all in with just one text anyway as well. Firefox Send, Matt. A few people have asked for more information on that.
Yeah. So again, if you're interested in doing an email, a video, obviously the biggest challenge we've taken of making a video, generally they're very large files, upwards of probably 200 to 300 megabytes, which you can't send via email. If you search for something called, I think it's Firefox Send, it's called. You can basically upload your video to that system. It compresses it online, and then basically it just turns it into a link, and it will give you a link address. If you copy that link address and put it into the browser, it will run that. You can download that video and run it then without actually having to send it. The limits on that for free are 100 downloads or 7 days. Generally 100 downloads goes very, very quickly, which I found out this last week because I had to do it 7 times for Ilminster. But yeah, it's a really good tool. So if you are interested in doing video, so if I was doing a video, I'll probably do a video tomorrow for the club. I'll upload it onto Facebook. I'll probably then take it home, put it onto my Firefox Send, compress it, and then send it out as a link to some other people, probably out to the press. Get an interactive video on their press on their websites, as well as do a press report, things like that. It's really good interactive marketing for your club.
There's been a few comments in the chat regarding GDPR. One of the next webinars will be on GDPR and data protection, so we'll leave them for now, but we'll send out more information in that in due course. One comment though, regarding the sending via email, please do remember to blind copy the people rather than send it to everyone. That is an important note to make on that.
And obviously on all your membership forms and things like, and your GDPR policies in your club, generally you have something on your membership form which says, if you sign this or tick this box, you are happy to receive emails, phone calls, messages, whatever it may be, from the club in aiding of that service. So again, GDPR is a very, very tough subject, but I know Adam's going to be doing a very thorough GDPR data protection webinar shortly for Bowls England. So yeah.
We do have a dedicated GDPR page on the Bowls England website. If you go to club support and club information, then you'll find GDPR, and there's some more information there as well. One question, is it worth having multiple social media accounts rather than just the one?
I would always recommend you have as many as you can. So the 3 I would recommend are Facebook. That is very much for open platforms. So that's advertising your events, simple uploading photos. Twitter is a bit more. Twitter I use a lot with press. So any of the press who are online, so your local news press agency, or online agencies, press people who do a lot of press reporting, they generally use Twitter more than Facebook because it's a more of a business to business type system. And the other one I would definitely use and recommend is Instagram. Instagram is a great platform. You can share your photos straight from Instagram into Facebook without uploading them twice. And if you look on our page, on the ilminsterbowlingclub.com page, on the bottom of our page is our Instagram feed, which just gives you all the latest photos, videos that we've taken that we're using to, as our marketing tools. But yeah, if you can have all 3, great. If it's only one, I would definitely recommend Facebook because that's where you're going to get the most interactive business from it.
I think that links with Matt's point earlier on as well regarding keeping it up to date. If you don't feel you have the time to do 2 or 3, don't stretch yourself, because you'll fall back into the issue earlier of going onto a website that's not up to date. If you go onto Twitter and you haven't posted for 4 months or something like that, people won't be interested in your club. So it's worth just keeping into the boundaries of what you can cope with as well. Online booking systems.
Yes. Now this is something that's come up a lot, obviously, because of what's going on. If you, depending how you want to do it. Now I think Bowls England sent out an email that Katie Smith was doing an online booking system that she was able to do. For us, we built our own. We built ours own into the back of our website through Wix. You can buy systems. One of the systems is Bowls R, and from experience and when I researched it when we were going to do it, it's a very expensive system. So the other way to do it, which is very, very cheap and easy, is using Google Calendar. So if you set up your own club email account and then use your Google Calendar, you can then get people just basically to email in for dates and times, and you can physically book them in to that Google Calendar, color code those color code up different ones for different rinks and structure it out like that. Again, if I was recommending it, if you could build it into your website, it will save you so much time. And we did ours, and I think we probably it saved us best part of probably £2,000. It will save us £2,000 a year just by building it into the website as a system, purely because of the time and obviously and any of the professional systems like Bowls-R. I got a feeling the Bowls-R system is about £4,500 initial pay, and then it's about £90 a month maintenance package. So it's quite an expensive system. It's brilliant, but again, most clubs haven't got that sort of money to spend. So if you can build your own, even better.
A few people have asked, do you have paid staff or a dedicated webmaster to keep the website up to date? Just one person, a group?
So basically, Ilminster is slightly different. We do have paid stewards and staff, but all the Bowls Club side is voluntary. So for me, I do the Facebook, I do the Twitter, I do the Instagram, I do the website. Now, again, it is time consuming, but I've obviously been doing it a long time, so I'm very used to doing things very, very quickly. So like a Facebook post will take me 20 seconds, maybe a minute. Website, if you keep the website up to date in most of the 90% of it doesn't change all year. Once you've uploaded your fixtures and things like that, it's only the front page you can add in bits and pieces that you have to change daily or weekly, which takes you, again, if you're competent at IT, log on, sign into your website, 2 or 3 minutes and it's done. But again, it's finding that time. But yeah, for me, I deal with all of that for Ilminster.
I think an important comment there that I would make is that a lot of students that want to work in communications and media, they would be more than happy to take on that role as part of their university course.
Yeah,
so it's worth checking your local universities or colleges to see if they've got any courses that are linked with media, marketing, communications, social media, anything like that. If you can get a student that can volunteer as part of their university course, you're saving the money, and they'll need to do a good job as part of their course as well. Maybe you can offer them benefits such as free membership or something like that, a free drinks voucher every now and again. It's keeping them in the club. They might get a friend along as well to come and take up the sport as well.
Yeah. Even photography, if you've got anyone who wants to, if you want some decent photography done of your club, because again, photos on websites and things like that sometimes are a bit grainy and not great. If you've got somebody who's doing photography and things like that, that'd be another great way to encourage somebody who's a student to come and do some photography for you.
Okay, that concludes all of the questions we've had. If you do have any more questions following the webinar, just drop me or Matt an email. We'll be happy to help you out further down the line. Like I say, any questions, we'll be happy to help, even if they're unrelated to the course today. But yeah, just drop us an email. I'll send you the presentation following the webinar. And if anyone's got anything left, I'm happy to stay on for 3 or 4 more minutes. If anyone wants to just talk to me, I'm sure Matt will be all right for 3 or 4 more minutes, and we'll just answer off any final questions. If you want to unmute your microphone, and I'm quite happy to tie it with you off on there. But thank you very much again for today. That was really good.
Right, thanks, Matt. I'm Rod Bacon from Victoria Park Bowling Club in Kent.
Hi, Rod.
I'm down as Veronica Doswell, my partner, for some reason. Our biggest problem, I think, we're a small club. Elderly membership is trying to convince the members to actually log on to Facebook. They're frightened that their details will be sort of housed somewhere in the desert in Arizona or whatever, and we have this problem, and also with WhatsApp, etc. How do we persuade these people?
How do you persuade? It's a very good point. It is a challenging question in the modern day. All I can say to you is that Facebook, all I would say is you don't have to follow anybody. All you have to do is sign up, log in, and actually look at that one page and follow that one page. That's all you technically need to do.
Right, that's good then.
You don't have to go and follow lots of people and friends and bowlers and this and that. I would just say sign up, follow your Bowls Club page, read what's going on. If they don't like it and they feel worried about their data and everything like that, it can be deleted in minutes. It takes seconds to delete an account. As for data, I mean, unfortunately, in the real world nowadays, there are data breaches every day in the smallest to the most massive multi-billion-pound companies in the world. You only put in what you want, so generally it's email address, name, email address. That's basically it.
That's good. Thanks very much indeed for that advice.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're worried about the email address as well, that if say you've got your own name as your email address, it takes 5 minutes to set up a Gmail address that doesn't include your name, that doesn't include your right date of birth or anything like that. So you'll be able to get around it that way as well.
Right. I'll have a bash for our members then.
No problem.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
So, Matt, it's Mike Flaherty here from West Wickham Bowling Club in Kent.
Hi, Mike.
I think this is going to be a subject of possibly a Bowls England webinar, separate webinar, but I think touching on the thing about dropping off of members, which I think we all anticipate, and consequently retaining members, and the dichotomy of, I know we're going to face it, I anticipate anyway, having collected membership fees, and I anticipate some people might even want refunds, whilst we're still spending money, keeping the greens going, etc. Kind of, what initiatives generally could we collectively think about to kind of progress that subject?
Okay, so this is a slightly wider topic, but I'm quite happy to answer it because this is stuff we're already talking about and thinking about at local level and Bowls England level. So one of the things we hope to do, I've certainly tried to do this year in Somerset, unfortunately because of COVID didn't happen, is a Somerset-wide open day. So every club in Somerset would open. Marketing would go in from the county. We are trying to try and look to do something for Bowls England. I think in the long term, probably next season, for a country-wide open day across every county, and getting all the counties involved in that as part of their commitment to Bowls England. In relation to recruitment of new members, I would be looking at certainly if you're looking to try and recruit members, for me, the social media aspect is massive. Because people have been stuck indoors for so long. You know, I've got relatives who've never used an iPad in their life, but because they can have FaceTime on it, they want to see your family. They've been using FaceTime, which is completely unusual to them. I've got an open day tomorrow. So to give you an example, we're running an open day tomorrow. The first time I've ever done this for which there's an open day in this respect. So I've offered anyone who turns up and who's registered and turns up on the day, they get 3 free coaching lessons with our coaches. And they also, if they join from that, they get 20% off their membership. But we're also offering an initiative, a food and drink initiative tomorrow. So tomorrow they're going to say, thank you, say thank you for coming. If you don't join, that's fine. Here's a free coffee, cake voucher for the club. Go and have a coffee, go and have a piece of cake, and get them into the facility. But I would clubs are going to have to be very much more proactive. And I say clubs, even though counties need to be more proactive generally. If clubs don't do these sorts of things and don't try and bridge the gap that's going to be left over this year, I mean, figure-wise, I'm going to guess that we're going to see 25% reduction in membership across the country. I would have thought. I would think 25% of bowlers won't come back. In my opinion, I just don't think that the people are going to be happy. And I think even when there is a vaccine, or if there is a vaccine for COVID, I don't think people will be happy to come back even then into certain situations. But I think, using social media is going to be really important. Linking up with your schools is going to be really important. Linking up with women's institution, linking up with, all those type of systems and all those type of people are going to be really key. And, and yes, it comes back to, again, how your club wants to be and operate. Some people look at a club as a now factor. So for some members, they might say, well, we're doing it right now, in 20 years time, we don't care, sort of thing. For me, I would say, yes, I'm in my 30s. My part of my legacy I feel as a legacy as a member now is that in 50 years time, the club is still there and still alive and still active. I don't want to see clubs falling down by the wayside. And as any of you have seen recently, no, this is indoors, but Blackpool Newton Hall have gone as a big club in the north. You know, I've had calls from different clubs. There's clubs on the Isle of Wight who are struggling. There's clubs in Gloucester who are struggling. There are clubs in Devon that are struggling purely because they've realised actually they've got outgoing still going out, as you said, but they're really struggling to get new people in the door. And that's why, you know, for me personally, and for my role within Bowls England as part of the marketing group, is to run as many projects as we can over the next 12 months to try and get people back into the game or into the game. Sorry, that's a bit of a long-winded answer, but that's what I think.
Thank you. It's really
Just from a Bowls England point of view on that one as well, we are working very closely with the Bowls Development Alliance at the minute regarding the setting up of a marketing initiative for the remainder of this season as well as next season. So I can't give you much more information on that one at the moment, but if you keep your eyes to the ground in the next few weeks, there should be some more information out on that one.
Matt, I do think it has to be kind of first and foremost focused at retention. I know we'd all want to expand, but effectively, I won't say it's easy, low-hanging fruit, but effectively, those guys know they're social, whatever, and if we can retain that nucleus, at least the subscription income pays for the outgoings.
Yeah, I agree. I think retaining is really important. The challenge, obviously, with retaining, as we all know, is that, you know, people who have been locked, and this comes back to the physical and mental health aspect of what I was saying earlier, is even though people still feel they want to play bowls, because they've been locked away for 4 months, they don't mentally feel like they want to go out and play bowls anymore. And that's the challenge. And I think that's the challenge. You know, outdoors, we've been very lucky in some respects. This is where the indoor side of bowls is going to have a real problem because of that enclosed space, where obviously outdoor bowls, we can socially distance a bit more. We're in the fresh air. The indoor side of bowls, probably this coming year, next year, is going to be really challenging. And I don't think that half the bowls that we'd normally be played won't be played. But retention is really important. But I think if it was me looking at it from another club, I would be saying, yes, retention is important. But the most important thing now is, if we're not going to retain those, is looking how we get new people in. If you just focus on retention, you're never going to get to where you were previously.
Accepted.
So I think, you know, it's a very fine line. And again, it's how your club operates. But I think for me, if it was me going to any other club in the country now, I'd be saying, yeah, retention is important of your existing members, but new members are where, and again, it's how you look at a club. Is it a club or is it a business? Now, I always try and suggest that a club should be a business rather than because in business, you go out, if you're not selling something or people aren't coming in the door, you have to go and get business, which, you know, it's that mindset. And sometimes that's how I try and explain it to people, that, you know, you have to go out and not force people to join, but you have to get them to encourage and get them hooked on the line to get them in.
Can I say something, please?
Yeah, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Tiplady. I'm the secretary of the Roundspoon Allbourne Bowls Club in Wiltshire. We're a tiny club. We only have 33 playing members, but we have managed to retain to play. Even if they're not playing on a sort of roll-up evening, they're playing on their own with somebody else in their family or whatever on another time of the week. But I do all the bookings. We don't have a website yet. We are going to look at getting one sorted out, and that information that you've given us is really helpful. So thank you very much for that.
No problem.
But I just wanted to also ask about, is it possible to, I didn't attend the previous social media webinars that you did. Is it possible to get those sort of in hindsight or not?
Yeah, I'll be able to sort that out for you, Sarah. We are looking at putting them onto our YouTube channel as well.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, because we are, as I say, we're tiny. Most people don't have Facebook, they don't have WhatsApp, they don't have anything. I mean, it's they're all sort of 80s, 90-year-olds, and they can't cope with anything like that. So I do a lot of it by actually visiting them physically or taking them documents myself.
Yeah, and that's part of that welfare thing I was talking about. You know,
yeah, it is, and I really enjoy it. You know, it's part of what I do, but it, you know, sometimes it's difficult to, you know, especially if you're a big club like most people are, you know, you don't get that. We're like a family in our club.
Yeah, of course. And I think that's, and that's how this situation of this COVID has affected every club. You know, for us, we're a big club, and overall club membership are over 700 people. You know, we've seen a downturn of renewals we're probably down 50%.
Wow. Yeah.
Because people haven't come out yet. People aren't going back to come and play bowls. They're not coming to play indoor bowls. They're not coming to play snooker because it's been shut. They're not using the bar and things like that.
Yeah.
And obviously for you to retain all 33 at this present moment is fantastic.
It's a very touchy-feely thing, to be honest. I've really worked on it.
Yeah, it is.
But it's worked, and long may it last.
Yeah, let's hope you continue. Yeah, best of luck. Yeah,
it's only my third season as a member myself, so this year I've really thrown everything into trying to hang on to the ones we've got. And
absolutely.
Trying to recruit new ones. So thank you for today. Really, really useful.
No problem. Thanks.
We did the COVID survey at the beginning of lockdown to find out what the needs were of our members. And one of the overriding statistics this year was that clubs did come back, similar to what Mike was saying, that retention was more important than recruitment this year. Whereas if we probably did that survey 12 months ago, we would have probably got the opposite result from the clubs, that they were more interested in recruitment rather than retention. So it is a changing scene, and we are working towards getting the right balance for our clubs as well.
I can just make a comment here on Sarah, what Sarah was saying. We also are a small club, 30 members, but we've had very good success with some aggressive social media marketing. We've got full retention of all the members, and we've picked up another 8.
Fantastic. And how long have you had your social media page? Just by a question.
A couple of years.
Okay.
2 or 3 years now.
And what's changed to make that sort of work? What's changed around, is it just that you've been doing more on there because of the lockdown, or is it generally just...
Well, we've got Connor in with the BDA, Connor Grogan's helping us out, and we just had our second meeting actually, but that's helped us to maybe focus a bit more on what we need to do, getting some more videos up, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I was able to put a video up showing out that our green is open, showing the social distancing between rinks and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's a really powerful message, because as I said earlier, I wrote all the documents for the Ilminster, the risk assessments and all the guidelines and the drawings and the one-way, but people don't want to read 10 documents and 10-page documents. They want to see everything in 5 minutes or less. So a video is really powerful message and a really good way to get that message out. So yeah, fantastic. Well done.
Yeah.
Can I just ask?
Yeah, Marilyn.
About junior sections.
Yeah.
Have many clubs got those? Because, I think that's probably the way to keep clubs alive. But our club, for instance, they're all worried about having juniors in, and safeguarding and toilets and this and that. And
I mean, the only way to do it really is you have to, I'll give you an example. Ilminster's had it for ever since I can remember. So I was one of the first juniors at Ilminster back in the 1990s when I started playing. And obviously Louis Rideout is a very good friend of mine who's now a Commonwealth International and won stuff for England. And we would play together for years. Our section did exactly what you're saying. Our section died out for a few years because there wasn't any juniors coming in. We've actually rebuilt it again, but it's taken us 3 or 4 years to get to that point. But, the biggest things are schools, beaver clubs, youth clubs, kids with, children or people with disabilities, children with disabilities, getting them out into that social environment. Now, again, if your club members are not keen to get involved in that, that's a hard battle that you're going to face. All I can suggest from my point of view is, tie up with a PE teacher at your closest 4 schools.
Well, we do have links.
Yeah.
On tap, but the club are going, oh no, safeguarding.
But safeguarding should be in place anyway for adults as well as children. So and now I mean, safeguarding is very, very important, as we all know, and everyone needs to have it. But, unless you start something or try something, you're never going to know. For instance, I'm doing this thing tomorrow. If I didn't try this tomorrow, the open day, I'll never know. If it is a disaster, I'll never run it again, probably. I'll run a different setup. If it works really well, I'll run it again.
So have you any suggestions who I could talk to about, because this is an outdoor club, starting a junior club or a junior section?
yeah, I mean, if I was going to start a junior section, my first point, my people I would talk to is your 3 or 4 local schools and offer them a Tuesday afternoon, generally, probably like 4 o'clock after school activity, maybe. Talk to your youth clubs, your beavers, your scouts, offer them a session, a 2-hour session.
Can I just I'm from Oak Hill Bowls Club in East Barnet, the southern tip of Hertfordshire. We've just, unfortunately, because of the COVID thing, it's not worked out this way, but we have an arrangement with our local secondary school where we have managed to get bowls added to the PE curriculum. In the secondary schools, this particular school has 240 kids per school year, and they have to offer 6 different sports. So 40 kids will choose bowls, and bowls will come down to our club in 2 batches of 20 and have a bowls session once a week. And then on a Friday after school, that will lead to a bowls junior club. An after-school club, where we hope that they will get sufficiently interested in the sport and they'll actually bring the parents in as well.
Yeah, that's what we've been trying. I've got links with the university, PE teacher training, sport coaching students.
Yeah.
So I've got all of the links. It's just the barrier of...
Yeah. There are got sufficient people who'll take part in that, and with all the safeguarding qualifications and so forth.
Marilyn, I am aware of a few clubs and counties that have got a very good youth setup that they're starting at the moment. So I'll drop you an email afterwards and we'll help you out with that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Just for anyone else, there is a Safeguarding Bowls website that's got a load of templates on. So if you are looking for similar things, for consent forms, bits and pieces like that, if you go to safeguardingbowls.org, there's a lot of templates on there that are free for you to use that are developed between the Bowls Development Alliance and Bowls England EIBA as such.
Thank you.
We at Newport Pagnell last year we started our own academy, and which not only do we have our own junior bowlers, but we've incorporated or encouraged the youth from other bowls clubs locally to come to the academy on a Friday evening without the fear of us trying to poach their players. They remain members of their own clubs, but they just come together one night a week for the whole of the season, obviously not this season, and get coaching all together. So
that's really
they play matches amongst themselves and at their clubs as well. So they arrange matches, home matches for them as well.
That's really interesting. Thank you.
Newport Pagnell was one of the clubs I was going to put you on to, Marilyn. So,
right, okay.
Are you okay for me to pass on your contact details, Jackie,
certainly,
to Marilyn, and then we'll...
Certainly.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Matt?
Yes, hello.
Question. Is Bowls England doing anything with the universities at all? We lose so many young players going to universities, moving on in life. There doesn't seem to be any setup at all with the universities that you can encourage those students to continue bowling.
Certainly something I don't know about, and whether Matt knows more than I do. All I can say about universities probably is that, they're there to study, I suppose, but a lot of it is obviously enjoying themselves. And yes, we do lose a lot of people to university. Trying to retain those people is very difficult, and even get them included. But Matt may know more, but I certainly don't know of any links with the university from Bowls England's point of view.
Yeah, there isn't at the minute, as far as I know, but you may have seen recently that we did share the school games thing as well, which is more sort of junior school level. Bowls is in the curriculum for the school games for Youth Sports Trust, so we are developing that as well. That's been in for a couple of years now, but I will pass on your comments about universities as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, thanks everyone for joining us today. Like I say, if you've got any questions once we've finished, just drop us an email and we'll be happy to answer them with you then as well.
Thanks both, Matt.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.